So before we get into this video, if you guys want to check out my link tree down below, you can check out all my short films. You can check out the feature film vignettes on the page. Also, I'll have more news on Rocky Wake coming soon. I could have just made a video talking about Shelby Oaks, but I kind of want to talk about the situation surrounding it because everybody else has got their Shelby Oaks videos out except for me. And I just want to talk about mainly Chris Stuckman making the film. But I am going to talk about the film too because I do have thoughts on it. And yeah, let's get into it. So with Shelby Oaks, I just want to say, first off, I knew that when this film was going to come out, it was going to get a lot of hate. There's something about, it's like something about YouTubers making films. I don't know. The thing about film criticism, and I am going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, but I do believe what I'm saying is somewhat true just because I've kind of experienced it firsthand. I know people that's experienced firsthand. And it doesn't only happen in like the indie space. I would even say that like when you get to like YouTube, it's kind of like the raw indie space in a way because, you know, these are people that are kind of coming outside of the industry, you know, and I mean, there's indie films made within the industry, but these are people that are, you know, very much so started from the bottom. Now now we're here type of people. But when it comes to film criticism, I have always thought that film criticism does not hurt films. I think that film criticism can be almost an art form in itself, and it can definitely do a great service to films. My problem with film criticism these days are the review scores, especially when it comes to like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. It gets very messy because I have watched plenty of amazing films that are in like the 30 and 40% range. I have. I mean, I have. And then you look at some films that have like a 90%, which seems to be like every film that comes out these days. And then you look at the audience score, and the audience score tends to be a lot lower. And then you go on IMDb, and then IMDb is just a cesspool. You know, I mean, even like speaking from my own experience, it feels like when you release an independent film, you're either getting a bunch of 10s or you're getting a bunch of 1s. There's like really nothing in between. So I just feel like when it comes to scores, they're just completely unreliable these days. And I just urge people to not care about critic scores. There was an interesting thing that I seen, and it was like Stanley Kubrick's filmography, and it was basically taking the reviews that his films had gotten back in the day and like kind of transforming them into Rotten Tomatoes scores, and it was very interesting to see how low those would have actually have been. So film criticism, definitely, it's a lot different today than it was back then, of course, you know, because a lot of people didn't even read reviews for a film. I mean, it may be in the newspaper or a magazine, but now they're just everywhere. And now you can just Google the film for showtimes and you got a big number popping up on your screen. I think it's kind of ridiculous. But anyway, I digress. I'm done talking about that. But what Chris Stuckman managed to do was he was able to take his platform and he was able to create his vision. He was able to create his film that he co-wrote with his wife. And I think it's just very inspiring. And I'm very happy for him that he got to make this movie because I know how hard it is to make a movie. There's other people that knows how hard it is to make a movie. And I think the people that don't understand how hard it is to make a film is the general audience for the most part. And I don't mean to make this about my stuff or like put a plug in or anything. I'm trying to make a point. But like when we made Pesadilla, you know, we made that film for $20,000 and we were out in the heat and it was 20 straight filming days. And I mean, lodging people. And then not only that, but filming and weather, you know, and then just the editing process, festivals. And then whenever we were obtaining distribution for the film, which we did, it's on Blu-ray, you know, that's just a whole process of itself. And then making vignettes for $900, you know, we kind of just did it on the weekends across, you know, separate months. And it's hard. Filmmaking is probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my life. It might be the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. And especially when you don't have the money, it's extremely hard. It is. And Chris Stuckman managing to make a film like this for $1 million, and I know, Neon picked up the film. They did reshoots. He was able to do a lot more with the film. That's beside the point. He was able to make the film, and he was able to get to the position that he's in right now. Now, Shelby Oaks looks beautiful. I think it looks great. I really love the mix of the mockumentary style mixed with the actual cinematic style because I have championed mockumentaries for a very, very long time. I think that mockumentaries are, in a way, depending on how we go with them, in a way, I feel like they are kind of the future of the medium. And what I mean by that is people love documentaries. There's no other way around that. People adore documentaries. I mean, they're some of the most watched things ever. And what a mockumentary is able to do, I brought this up in Strange Harvest, my video on that. What a mockumentary is able to do is it's able to sort of present that same presentation to you, but you don't know the direction that it's going in because it's, you know, it's a false narrative. It's not a real thing. And I think that's what makes mockumentaries, I think, so appealing, especially to the general audience, because they do pretty well. Even found footage films do pretty well as well. And this film has a lot of found footage elements to it. And I love found footage as well. I don't even like saying that I think found footage is a guilty pleasure, because I genuinely enjoy found footage a lot. And again, when it comes to mockumentaries and found footage films, I just feel like we've not utilized those to their fullest extent. Now, Shelby Oaks, I had some issues with it. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, there were some things about the film that I wasn't on board with, but for the most part, I enjoyed it. It's probably like a top 15 of the year, maybe top 10. I think the thing that I really enjoyed the most about it is I really enjoyed how different the film was structured, but I also really enjoyed the scares that were in it. I enjoyed, you know, there is a specific entity in this film, which I won't get into, but I thought it was very, very cleverly executed. I think the design for it was extremely impactful. I thought that it was spooky. And this film had its moments. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing. Now, I get it. To the general audience, you're buying a ticket and you're watching the film and you might not be happy with what you're watching, and I completely understand that. I get it. You're paying for the ticket, and, you know, that's all you're looking for, is just kind of an entertaining afternoon. But I do think that for people that are the general audience, or not the general audience, maybe even just cinephiles, but for those people that understand the process of filmmaking, I think that it's a win whenever you watch a film like this and it's a directorial debut and you're coming from a background like Chris Stuckman and it has moments. Because I think a lot of people fail to realize how hard it is to get those moments in a film. It really is tough. And that's what I was thinking about a lot whenever I watched the film. This is not me kissing the film's ass. This is not me kissing Chris Stuckman's ass. This is just me being honest. And I feel like for filmmakers going forward, you know, I think it's nice to not only, of course, give constructive criticism, but to genuinely talk about the good of a film. It goes a long way. There's plenty of films that I've watched that I think are quote unquote bad, which I don't think Shelby Oaks is bad at all. I think it's a really, really good film. But I watched Sledgehammer, 1983, and that was like some direct-to-video type film. I didn't like it personally. I thought it was kind of, but there were moments in it that I was like, wow, this is very impactful. This is what I would tell people if I was recommending the film where they brought it up, you know. But anyway, that's my video on Shelby Oaks. So anyway, guys, take it easy. See you next time.